We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AV Rant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AV Rant. I'm Tom Antry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Ted. Ted's new Legacy Audio Silhouette Pros are in production and should arrive in 2 to 3 weeks. Looking forward to that. Are there any aspects of setup and calibration of on-wall speakers, particularly positioning, that should be thought of differently compared to other type of speakers? Yeah, you can't tow them in, dude. You're kind of stuck with where you put them. And don't get your heart set on where you're going to place these things until you go around with a stud finder and make sure that you can actually put them where you want to put them. Because believe me, when I installed at my parents' house, I looked around and said, one there, one there, one there, one there, it's going to be perfect. And then I started going around with the stud finder and went, oh, well, that's not going to work, and that's not going to work. And you think to yourself, if I can put one on this wall, then surely the other wall has studs in the exact same spot. Oh, no, that is not how that works. So your surround speakers, you're going to want to start planning out right now and, preparing yourself mentally for what's going to happen in order to make sure that you can put them where you want to put them. You want to place them as optimally as you can. So that means, equal apart from each other, not equal apart from each other, but from the screen, right, from wherever your screen is, and also centered so that you're centered between them in the prime listening seat for your main speakers, as best as you can. And as best as you can is as best as you're going to do. Yeah. There is really nothing else you can do. You can't aim them. You can't tow them in. You're going to put them in the wall. You're going to run your Odyssey or whatever you've got, and then you're going to listen to them, and that's what you're going to have. There's not a lot you're going to be able to do other than that.
Yeah, I mean, height-wise, you still, just like any other speakers,
right,
when they're your front speakers, you want to get their tweeters at about ear level if you can. If they're surround speakers, then you want them elevated, like we said, probably 1.5, 2 feet, the tweeters above your seated ear level. And as far as, how they're positioned on the front wall, you can still just go, ideally, if you can, like Tom said, the studs might determine where you actually can place these, because these are pretty heavy speakers, so they definitely need to be anchored into studs. You don't just want to use drywall anchors with Legacy Audio Silhouettes. Definitely not. But, it's the same angles that you would have for, your traditional setup. So anywhere from 22.5 degrees to the left and right of center, all the way out to 30 degrees to the left and right of center. You maintain the same angles, the same heights. It's just they will be on the wall. So that's about it.
Yeah. You really have, that's the thing about in walls. And they'll be fine. I don't want you to be worried about it.
Well, they're on walls, not in walls.
Oh, on walls, yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. It's just you're gonna be much more limited in placement. But then again, think about it. In all honesty, a lot of times we're very limited in placement with our in-room or speakers, our freestanding speakers, because of aesthetic concerns.
That's right.
So it's fine. So he's been thinking of using his old fronts as surround backs. Do surround backs make any kind of meaningful difference? Doesn't he have like the world's smallest room?
He has a very small room, and his seat is very close to his back wall.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll read the rest of the question before we answer it. Do surround backs make any kind of meaningful difference in every home theater setup he's heard that had surround backs? He never noticed much of improvement over his 5.1 system. Should he do front heights or something else instead, despite a likely timbre mismatch with the new Legacies? What is the speakers that he currently has? Do I remember?
I forget, because he ordered those M&Ks but sent them back. I can't recall exactly offhand.
They're not
what
Dynaudios or something like that,
now.
right? He didn't have Dynaudios.
I don't think so. I can't recall for sure.
Doesn't matter. You sit too close to the back wall to have anything to do with surround backs. Okay, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, do surround backs make any kind of meaningful difference? If you got a real big theater, they do for sure. In mine, and I sit 6 feet from my back wall, maybe 5 feet from my back wall. I could barely tell you if they're back there or not. I think I know they're back there, but audibly, I don't know. And then
it's the once in a while you do notice the back, and you go, oh, that was kind of cool, but it's only rarely, once in a while.
Yeah. But if you have a real big room and you need to get that sound all the way around a bunch of people, the surround backs are pretty important. Now, as far as what you should do with them, you should put them away for now. That's what I think you should do. I think you should hook up your legacies. You should get them all calibrated. You should live with them a little while. You need to get used to the sound of these new speakers. The last thing you need to be doing, in my opinion, right now, is futzing with moving your other speakers around and trying height speakers and some wide speakers and everything. No, Ted. Step away from the speakers and just set up your new speakers. Live with them for a couple of months. Listen, do some critical listening with them, and at that point, then you can start going, okay, I've got these other speakers, they've been sitting in the closet, they've been cryogenically freezing or something, or whatever you want to tell yourself to make them sound better, and then you can start doing height speakers or wide speakers or something like that.
I have to agree with that. I mean, 5.1 system based on legacy audio speakers, that's going to be real nice. So yeah. I would get yourself used to that and not even worry about additional speakers at this moment. You want to experiment later? By all means, knock yourself out. But yeah, not right now.
Yeah. So, Legacy Audio's Bill Dundelson. Did I say that right? Dundelson?
I think it's Duddleson. There's no N in there, I don't think.
Oh. Should be. Anyways, recently said that in an interview that if you do the math, it takes 300 watts to resolve the full 24-bit resolution of a source. So he asks Rob, how does that work?
That seems way too low as far as watts go. You would need some exceedingly efficient speakers or be sitting extremely close for 300 watts. Because 24-bit resolution in audio gives you 144 dB of SPL range. 144 decibels. So let's say that 300 watts was producing 144 decibels, right? Divide that by 10, and that will subtract 10 decibels. So 30 watts would give you 134 dB. 3 watts would give you 124 dB. And then if you cut that in half, you subtract 3 decibels. So 1.5 watts would be giving you 121 dB. In other words, for a 300 watt amplifier to generate 144 decibels of output, you'd need speakers that are about 120 dB per watt efficient, which even the most efficient speakers aren't giving you numbers like that.
Maybe those avant-garde ones might be the big old horn-loaded
maybe, yeah, but those
are the only ones I can think of.
That would all be from 1 meter away, so which is awfully close. So I think he was probably talking more about reference volume. That would make a lot more sense, like hitting 105 dB peaks from say 12 feet away, closer to 4 meters away, than something like 300 or 400 watts with a typical sort of efficiency speaker, something that's 87 or 89 dB per watt per meter. Right now, that starts to make sense, but I know Ted is very concerned about dynamics. I know he's very, very worried about making sure that he's able to hit full reference volume. And Ted, you are sitting very close to your speakers. Your speakers are of average, completely normal, even a slightly on the high side efficiency. And we're talking about very short little peaks of time. Which means that even if you have a decent receiver that's rated at 100 watts per channel, it can give out like 300 watts for, 0.1 of a second or something like that, which is all we're talking about. You don't need to upgrade your amplification to 300 watts per channel amplification in your room, Ted, because I think I'm inferring that, but I think that's maybe what he's concerned about.
Historically, it seems like that's where this is headed.
That's right. And you do the math does work, right? For every time you multiply the number of watts by 10, you get 10 dB more output. Every time you double the number of watts, you get 3 dB more output. So yes, we can work out the math based on the efficiency of your speakers and how far away you're sitting, how many watts you need to hit peak 105 dB output. And it'll be some big number. It'll be like 400 watts in a lot of cases. But please keep in mind that is for a very short-term peak. You're not sustaining that level. So
that's what all those wooden capacitors are for.
God.
to hold in all that power, and then it just comes out smoother and detailer because of the wood. You've got to use the tiger wood, though. Tiger wood?
Zebra wood? I don't know.
Zebra wood? There's tiger wood. Burled. You need that burl wood. That's the good stuff. The pan polished by Tibetan monks. I don't know what it is about Tibetan monks that they do all the weird stuff, but I don't know. It's weird. All right. Just now have this image in my head of a bunch of Tibetan monks like put in capacitor. I wouldn't on capacitor. Once your question answered, send it to question@avrant.com. This is AV Rant.
Now go out and listen to something.